A few weeks ago I asked if anybody had any questions that they would like to see answered in my videos, and there were quite a few. A lot of questions about me, my past experiences, why I chose to come to Sweden and my plans for the future, the house buying process as a foreigner in Sweden, and also questions about how you would make a life like this financially possible. And I plan to answer all of those questions, or most of them, in upcoming videos. I'll kind of divide them into those three categories and make three more like distinct vlogs about them. But there was one question that I can answer now, and somebody was curious if I listen to music while I renovate. Actually, I don't really. I'm not really a music person, but what I do like to do is I like to have background noise, and I like to actually watch movies. I tend to select these big blockbuster type movies that I know quite well, so I recognize the stuff that's going on, all the noise that's going on in the background, but I don't actually have to watch it. And lately I've been watching a lot of The Hobbit. I've watched it so much that I'm starting to get a little bit sick of it, and I actually really want to go back to watching Lord of the Rings, but Lord of the Rings is not available in Sweden right now. And that brings me to the sponsor of today's video, which is Surfshark VPN, because they are going to solve my problem. So let's see if we can find Lord of the Rings to keep me occupied while I continue work on the floor today. Alright, this is Netflix Sweden. So let's check if they have Lord of the Rings available, just in case. But it's just The Hobbit. Let's check another country. Apparently the Netherlands has Lord of the Rings available. So I have Surfshark as an extension, so I can click this little icon and then I can search for almost any country in the world, but let's go for Netherlands, connect, which is almost instant. So we can go back to Netflix and literally just refresh the page. And there we go, Lord of the Rings. So what happens is that Surfshark VPN will now virtually change my IP address, so it will make Netflix think that instead of being in Sweden, I will be in the Netherlands. So that gives me like 9 hours of amazing background noise while I fix my floor. Besides that, a VPN will keep your personal data safe, which is really important, especially when you're traveling in another country using public Wi-Fi and trying to find that perfect cabin in the woods. If you use the code WildRosie, you will get 83% off and the first 3 months for free. You can find the link in the description box below. Put the flooring in for now, but I'm going to take it out again. I'm just trying to decide how much it bothers me that this is not straight. I mean, it definitely bothers me, but does it bother me enough to redo it? I need to explain flooring. Some of you noticed that I didn't put insulation underneath these new floorboards. And if you're doing a similar project, add insulation underneath your floorboards. Don't do what I did. This is what happened. When I bought the house, there was a leak in the roof. There was a section of the flooring that was rotten, which is about the size of this toilet, and I bought materials to replace that. However, as I started to remove everything, it turned out that a lot more of this room was rotten, and essentially I removed 2/3 of the floorboards and replaced the floor joist. Just so you know, this house does have insulation underneath the flooring. It's just this back extension, which is the lobby area and the kitchen, which hasn't been built that well, and the insulation underneath this area has fallen down. Because I only thought that I would be replacing a small section of this room, I didn't think I was going to have access to the entire room to add insulation, so I didn't buy the materials. Right now, I obviously have the opportunity to do it, but I don't have the means to get the materials to the house, and also I don't have the funds right now to do it, because all the money I made before Christmas went to my UK taxes and my electricity bill, so it's not gonna happen. So instead, I decided to keep my options open. Basically, my original plan was to have floor planks going all the way from this lobby area into the kitchen. Instead, I'm going to have a separate design for this lobby. I'm going to screw everything in and do it in such a way that it's very easy to unscrew everything, take up all the floorboards, and access the crawl space to add insulation or do whatever I might need to do. In addition to that, I did actually think of adding insulation to the entire house, and I have this 30mm foam insulation, which I was thinking of adding on top of the flooring in the entire house. Like I said, the rest of the house is insulated to modern standards, probably could be better. I think most of the insulation is sawdust. So I'm thinking of adding this layer on top of the original floor planks before I put my new finished planks on it. But I can't quite decide whether it's worth losing the head height of the ceiling, but also losing the head height within the door architraves. Obviously 30mm doesn't add that much warmth, and I just don't know whether it's worth the trade-off. It also has been a very warm winter. Thinking about this winter, I don't think it's been cold enough to justify losing the head height and the effort of installing it. Yeah, I guess that's what's happening with the flooring initially, so we're step by step. Toilet first, then lobby, then the rest of the house, so. are some of the colors that I tested. And this is the one that I'm going for. It is the Osmo Cognac Decor Wax with hard wax oil to make it a little bit less dark. There's a few more. This dark one here is the Cognac Undiluted. That's quite dark, but I really like the tone. And actually another one I really like is this Kongol. It's like a black stain, but it's very light, and I think it looks so cool. I spent all day sanding and staining my perfect stain, the Cognac Osmo stain, very expensive, and it turned out to look completely different. Exactly what I don't want it to look like. I know that obviously having yellows and the pinks and the pine doesn't help. This looks pretty much the way that I absolutely wanted to avoid it looking. And I was devastated yesterday because this is the colour I want the entire house to be. I spent the entire morning doing little samples and trying to figure out what happened and why it looks so different, despite the fact that I did my samples on construction spruce, which absorbs better. It doesn't seem to matter how much I sand this, but the samples I did this morning look a little bit better. Still not exactly what I was hoping for, but better than this. So I'm going to actually apply the stain without thinning it, so it will be a bit darker, but it seems to have a slightly better result. I'm going to sand it first and then I'll stain it. So basically I did the wood for the toilet flooring, because if it doesn't look the way I want it to look, then that's okay. It's just that tiny room. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Gosh. Feeling very deflated today. I can't for the life of me get the stains right. I went into town, bought more products, but they're still not doing what I want them to do. So I don't really want to do anything. I want to cry. Maybe that's why the sky is crying right now. So what I am going to do is lay this floor in a tiny toilet room in a state that I don't like. It's not perfect. This trapdoor is just a little bit more raised than the rest, which I really try to avoid, but that's okay. I can stand on it and I don't fall through it. So that's good. I don't care for the stain, but I don't know. That's the stain I wanted, like that. But it's really warm.